So you're done rolling a beginner banner and you got BRONYA and you're wondering what she does and how to build her. She's a wind element support character, and by far she's the strongest support in the game. And what makes her the strongest support in the game? Let's take a look at her abilities. First, let's take a look at her technique. Before entering a battle, by using her technique, you will increase all your allies' damage by 15% for 2 turns when you enter the battle. And next is her talent. By using a basic attack, BRONYA herself would advance her action by 15%. Now I'm gonna explain this along with her skill because they have a really important connection. When she uses her skill on allies, she would be able to dispel a debuff on them, which is really important. Plus, it allows them to immediately take action while increasing their damage for 1 turn. The biggest changes from 3rd beta to the official release is probably that if she used that skill on herself, she cannot immediately take action again. Now when you're using her skill, you have to be really careful because the ideal situation is always use this ability after your DPS take action, so they can do damage a second time. BRONYA always have to be slower than your DPS, or else there would be no point for it. If BRONYA acts first, regardless of her using her skill on the DPS or not, your DPS is going to act after BRONYA finishes her turn anyways, so you're kind of wasting the extra turn provided by a skill, which means you're doing less damage. Now here is where the talent come into play. Let's say if your BRONYA acts first for some reason and your DPS acts second. By using her basic attack, you are able to adjust the sequence of the action eventually, allowing your DPS to act first before BRONYA. But that's still not a permanent solution because once your DPS gets action forward after they attack, they will still go back to the second place. And finally, we have her ult, which is a team buff. All your allies are going to get increased damage for 2 turns. Plus, they will also receive increased crit damage according to a portion of BRONYA's crit damage. Now you can see why she is so far the strongest support in the game, because she doesn't just increase your attack damage and crit damage. She's able to provide an extra turn for your DPS. As for her traces, you could focus on upgrading her ultimate and her skill first, making her an even better support. As for a bonus ability, you could upgrade for military might if you want to focus her more on a support character. But if you don't have a main DPS that's strong enough yet, you could also upgrade her command bonus ability, which makes her a sub DPS. That 100% crit rate is going to make up for some damage that your DPS isn't doing. Plus, she's gonna be constantly using her basic attack anyways to adjust the sequence of the action. As for Lightcone, most of it does add more damage for your allies besides Memory of the Past, Planetary Rendezvous, and Dance Dance Dance. Those Lightcones are much more different, so you can use it based on whatever you need. But I would prefer just to add more damage to your allies. As for relics, so far there isn't really a set of relics that focuses on support characters. So for now, you could either go for Musketeers or Eagle of Twilight. And for the planar ornaments, you could go for Celestial and try to stack as much crit damage as you possibly can, because the more crit damage you have, the more increased crit damage to all your allies when you use your ultimate. As for Eidolon, E1 seems to be the best. The rest are decent but not as good as the first one. As for team building, she could blend into any team she wants. The most fundamentals are 1 tank, 1 healer, a BRONYA, and the final character could be any DPS. The best DPS that works really well with BRONYA would probably be Sealy.